Hi, my name is Vicky and Bonowitz, and I am back again. It's been a while since I've been here because basically we've had a setback following IVIG. Casey had some issues with some dehydration that basically perpetuated some health concerns and that had to be addressed. And so been pretty busy taking care of those right in the last since December the 6th, been dealing with that. So just learning more. But since then these are some things that have happened. Got an MRI at Vanderbilt, which the good thing it was that it wasn't anything, nothing had really changed for the worse. So that was good. So that was one thing. Another thing that's happened as of late is took we've gotten Casey's DNA. We've put it through something called genetic life hacks, which is really an interesting thing. I'm going to see if I can pull that up right now so I can do a little bit of looking at that. And that way I can kind of tell you just right from it some things about it that just are pretty fascinating. It's been extremely interesting because how they advertise about it is genetic life hacks, learn, experiment, and optimize. Was told about this from a nurse practitioner that was using it herself with her family, and she thought it might be something that would be helpful for my daughter. So we were using that. So we used that, and what you can do is you can take the raw data from some, like it could be 23andMe or Ancestry.com or MyHeritage or a number of others. And then you take the raw data and you put it in a form such as S, CSV or a text format. Either one of those works, and then the file downloads it. And it's not too hard to do it. It's not real. I think it could be a little bit more intuitive, but it wasn't. My husband was able to figure it out, of course, right away because he's really good at tech. But then it clears it. It doesn't just keep it on there all the time. So if you, go log out of it and get back into it, or if you just get offline, it's not necessarily going to be on there. It looks like it's on there, but it's not. And it's on there when you can see, let me see, I'll pull it up so I can see exactly what it's called. I have to look at the word to be able to pronounce it correctly. But basically, when you see it filled in with they'll have on it, even when it's not filled in, it'll have the specific gene, then it'll have the RSID, that'll be there. Then the effect allele, I think I'm pronouncing it right. And then under your genotype, there'll be two letters that'll be there. And if it has the same two letters as is in the effective allele, and I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, sorry. But if it has that, then that impacts you. So good thing is that the MTHFR wasn't a problem. Okay, so just to kind of tell you a little update on what we found out there was some decrease in vitamin B12, so we need that. But a really interesting thing with that, as we get into it, there's something called COMT gene snippets that we found out about. And if those are slow, that means that she may be making some of the neurotransmitters that she needs, but they may not be breaking down fast enough for it to be where she can feel great, which we had put her on a methylated B12 that a very reputable physician had put her on years ago, had thought that she needed to be on it following some test. And, I gotta go. Be right back. Rose, come! I thought you were inside. Come. Get in. The dog knows how to open one of the doors, and so I have to really watch out with this one. Oops. Okay. So I think we have checked all the doors now. We're good. Okay. Sorry about that. That was a surprise. She's a handful. But anyhow, so get back to the COMT. Slow COMT means that for her, the methylated version of the B12, even if it's the kind that's considered great and good for so many people, it's not good for her. So found out what the other options that were available for that. So since then, we've ordered that type of B12s that she can do. Already knew that she was, it's not showing it on here that she has any problems with B2, riboflavin. She tested low on that when we've gone to the doctor before, so we've already supplemented with that. Now, something that was significant that we had already figured out just a little bit was that B6. When we gave her additional B6, especially when we did it in, I think it's the P5P version plus with the regular B6, which is 25 milligrams of each, given a little bit of that, it makes it where she has better dream recall, which is an indication of getting into a deeper REM of sleep. And also, B6 is necessary for so many of the processes that are needed through the crib cycle. So she shows up, which it shows in orange on this because she has two in her genotypes are flagged there. And they mark it up so that it really tells you very quickly. You can look to see what is marked in orange box, the ones that are significant. And that was one, where it was, a particular, sorry about that, a particular mark. Let me get on to the dog. No, lay down. If I act like I'm holding her little beeper, then she thinks I might have a little thing that would give a little vibration for her, and she doesn't like it. So maybe she'll mind for a minute. But anyhow, so it shows one of the two of genotypes, the letters in the genotypes, for a couple of them were decreased with the B6. So that means that one, it's got part of it. So it's slightly for two. And then another one had two of the genotypes. That was CC for one of them. And that was an indication of slight decreased vitamin B6 levels. So that was helpful to know. Now, when we did give her the B6 and give just a little bit of zinc, and you have to be really careful with that. So you want to not do much at all without testing and having someone help you. And I'm not a medical person, so this is not medical advice. This is just our journey and what we're kind of figuring out with the help of the people we can find to help us. What we found is that when we gave just a little bit of zinc, and I'm talking like 3 or 4 drops, okay, of like a ionized zinc and 50 milligrams of B6, saw some improvements. Oh, but I'm going to jump back to something real fast because I forgot to mention this, that in just watching videos about slow COMT and learning about what to watch out for with that, found out, and this is exactly what we saw, that while we were giving her a methylated B12 that was, compounded by a pharmacy, not cheap, about $100 a month or something like that. So it wasn't cheap, okay? And the good stuff, that she did improve for the first 1 or 2 months, but then crashed. And that was because too many of the neurotransmitters were not breaking down fast enough. So that I did want to mention, having to do with what we learned with the B12. So we want to watch with that. She needs to be supplemented, have supplementation with that, but we have to be careful what form we're using with that. I'm waiting for those to come in. That should be here in a couple of days, and then I'll be able to give an update on how that goes. Just a slight lower plasma vitamin C, just slight. So that's nothing big. Then 3 things: slight lowering, decrease of the zinc showed up. Thiamine, there wasn't anything significant here, but something everybody needs to know about thiamine. And she was supplementing a little bit with B's. And we go to Vanderbilt and found out when they tested her and her B1 vitamin, thiamine, and she was low. So I started doing a deep dive into that, and I never remember the name of the book. It's really an awkward name, but the book is amazing, and it's by a Dr. Chandler Mars, and I never remember his first name, but Lonsdale is his last name. The two of them wrote the book, but if you put in Dr. Chandler Mars, you'll find the book on thiamine that was written just like 3 or 4 years ago. It's not a big book. It was pretty pricey. It was about $80, $90 or more. It's just a little paperback, but it is one of the most amazing books because it's about high calorie malnutrition and using high dose thiamine treatment. So some of that's in the title. It's really awkward for sure. But if you look up Dr. Chandler Mars, you're going to find out all about it. But if you drink much coffee, if you drink much tea, if you have much carbs, if you are taking medication, and as you get older, you're going to be very susceptible to deficiency in thiamine. And why that is so important is if you do not have enough thiamine, you will not be able to get enough of the other vitamins into your system. It works kind of like a gateway of letting other things work. And then with thiamine, you need enough magnesium to help it work. So if you and don't ever just go wild in getting thiamine and taking it, because you have to do it very slowly. And if you check out EO Nutrition, which E as in Eddie, O as in Oscar, Nutrition, you'll find a guy, Elliot Overton, that the doctor who wrote the book on thiamine, the expert, wrote a book on it, and she recommends him because he follows her science, and he has worked on refining and working with her and her research in doing protocols. And so he tells you how to do it so you'll avoid some downfalls that you can get by adding thiamine, because if you do it too fast, you get what's called a paradoxical reaction to it, and basically it can make you feel horrible, like flu-like, worse neuropathy, all the things that additional thiamine could actually help you with, it can make worse if you take it in too fast. But he goes through and explains how to do it and to go very slowly, systematically, and what minerals you want to put along with it to help to support your body to make it go smoothly. But by us using the high dose thiamine treatment, a cool thing is that we've seen a lot of the dysautonomia symptoms improve. Not all of them have gone. Some Raynaud's, and but the POTS and all, a lot of the POTS symptoms have gotten so much better. Tolerance to exercise, less fatigue. So a lot of improvements with that. Now, looking to the next thing that was on here is the choline, which eggs and a lot of other things are sources of choline, but that's the main one we use since we can't do beef or pork. And it showed some significant areas where there's some reduced turnover of methionine to phosphatidylate. I don't know how to say that. Sorry. But anyhow, basically that making it into, if I'm right, into SAMe that you need the choline for, to get from methionine to SAMe, and it goes, the word that I can't get is part of the process that you need, and the choline's necessary to get it there. Even though she has a good diet, she may need supplementation in that. So that was something worth knowing. And she has 4 genes that's marked, 2 that are slight, and 1 and 2 that are in orange, which double letters where it's really, more likely to have a choline deficiency. Check diet is what was said there. So that's what they have notes about effective allies, if I'm saying that right. Okay, now vitamin A, she has some slight decrease in conversion to beta to active form of vitamin A, actually 2 of those. And then she has, for vitamin D, she had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that had slight or significant low vitamin levels, where it was in the yellow kind of color, and then the orange color where it means it was significant, with the 2 genotypes showing up there, allies for that, more likely to have a vitamin D insufficiency or deficiency, which that means too that, and always check your doctor with this, because you have to be careful. And if you're taking vitamin D3, a lot of people think you have to do K2 with it to get it to move into the places you want to. So it doesn't actually cause like kidney stones or some other issues. So make sure you talk to your doctor before you do anything. But for us, it seems to be that when she is on the higher level of safe, keeping it on the high level of safe is when she's at her best. Have not seen an asthma attack since we've done that, which is significant because what used to be a problem. Folic acid conversion. Now that's another thing. Folate is the form that we want to go with, because she doesn't do as well with some of the other forms of folic acid, and also through her food. So giving dark leafy greens are really good for her, a good source of folic acid. And selenium had some slight issues with 3 of the genes on that. So that was something else that was significant. And then something I wanted to mention with each of these categories, it's so cool is they have articles, and within the article, like I'm at one right now, the one I'm looking at has to do with homocysteine, and to even imagine that I know much about what this is, I don't. I just know that there's a certain range that is healthiest for you to have your homocysteine at. And she's more prone to have it too high, which puts you at a higher risk of heart disease. So B6, and I forgot what the other thing is. There's a couple of things that you can do for that. And she had some things that were marked for that. So it's giving some good information. Here it is. Vegetable diet is really good for her. Lots of good vegetables. And COMT variants, it says, may want to avoid, and mentioned this before, methylcobalamin, because it adds an influx of methyl groups, which I mentioned that before. All right. So, and what happens when you do that? Oh, you don't, like, it's bad. Like agitation, irritation, anxiety, depression, not good. And you can just see a switch on her, like turn when you give her the methylated B12. So don't want to do that. And but the B12 is so important, and right here, and that's one of the ways that you can support what I'm looking at right now to keep your homocysteine at the right place with the genes, the MTR and the MTRR, okay, which has to do with enzymes that work together in this methylated cycle. So they're necessary for it to happen. And if you don't have that, it can cause mental confusion, tingling, numbness in your hands and feet, memory loss, disorientation, megoblastic anemia, and gastrointestinal symptoms. So not good. So you want to have, for all of this, there's a sweet spot where you want to make sure you're getting enough of what you need. Good thing with some of these, and you want to make sure always to find out which ones are water soluble that are not going to build up. But, and again, check with your doctor, and you may need to have testing to find out where you are with it. But from our first meeting with a nurse practitioner, just looking at this initially, what we know we want to do first is to get her homocysteine levels checked to find out what it is. And the most helpful videos that I've found in looking into this, and I'll put some information about that later on in the video. It'll probably take me 2 weeks to get to it, sorry. But it's Courtney Seneff. Okay, Dr. Courtney Seneff, who is a psychiatrist who's had a lot of the same issues dealing with sensitivity to stuff, problem with detoxing that this goes through later talking about, and slow comp. She's had a lot of those same things that my daughter has. So it's been a good one for me to learn from, because she has went to the Walsh Institute and went to a workshop there, just thinking it might be somewhat helpful. He's written a book on using nutrition therapy, and she learned from that and came away, and it made such a difference in her psychiatry practice that she now has joined the team with the Walsh Institute, and she trains other doctors. But she has a great way of presenting, makes it very easy to understand. So I've been watching her YouTube videos, and that is just an excellent site to go to. But getting back into genetic life hacks, which their little bio thing is learn, experiment, optimize. And so I love it when you look at it. And if I was better at YouTube, I could show you this, little pieces of it. But they show a PowerPoint that is just amazing, a graphic. And on it, it gives you just such cool bullet statements where you can know about the gene, what it does, what the symptoms of are the deficiency, homocysteine genetic variants, and it gives the specific genes that are associated with this. And then it gives you the life hacks, vitamin B12 life hacks that you can do to improve it. And so it's really great. And if you go to my Instagram, I've been saving, it gives an option that I can share those on Instagram. So I've put them on my Instagram that is called Building Health with Vicki. So if you're curious about any of these, either you're into biochemistry of interest to you, then that's something you can look at. And then it gives a takeaway for each one. And then following that, and the takeaway are just like 3 or 4 bullet statements. Okay. And then it gives you a little place where you can click on a hyperlink that calls preview your genes. And so it just shows your genes right there, the ones that matter, that for this, the ones that are real significant, and it highlights the ones that you have any kind of issue with, whether it's the light yellow where it's just one of the effective alleles are in it, or if it's 2, it's going to be the orange. And then you can also go to something that says jump to. And if you click on that, that's so cool because then it's got it even like notes, like very short notes of exactly what you might want to know, like methyl groups in a nutshell, methylization in the right amount, and then your genotype report so you can see what your variants were, and then life hacks optimizing B12 with diet and the right supplements. And so then it has articles where it can recap that in a little more detail, and then it gives other related articles that you can go to there. So, and then below that, it's got MTR and MTRR genes, methionine, and vitamin B12. Methionine is an essential amino acid used in the production of protein. It is literally the starting amino acid for every protein your body makes. And the Debbie, let me think, Moon, I believe is right. I will double check that, is the one who developed this site, this program that's used for this. And she writes these articles for this. Well, I've just gotten into this, but my daughter's home, so I'm going to stop there, and I'm just getting started with this, but this is so cool. I'll talk to you later. Thanks for joining me here at Building Health with Vicki, and I hope to see you soon. Sorry about the dogs. Rose is excited. Whoops, she loves people, but she has to bark a lot. All right.